I would like to introduce cartoonist Judd Winick, the New York Times best-selling author of Hilo. Winick has also written for Marvel, DC Comics, and created the Life and Times of Juniper Lee for Cartoon Network. And also after this discussion, there will be a book giveaway.
Cool. Okay.
I leave it up to you.
My mic is up. All right, let's
If your mic is on.
Can you all hear me okay? Folks in back, can you hear me okay? Okay, y'all can see this okay when I get out of the way? Because this is where the business is going to be, is this screen up here. So that's cool? Yeah. All right, so we're cool. How are you? It's so good to see you today. I am Judd Winick. I'm a cartoonist. It's just about the best job in the whole wide world. I especially love doing this. Very excited about today because we have plenty of time, and I'm going to do 2 presentations for you. Usually I just get to do 1 at schools because I have like 30 minutes and I'm always rushing, but now we have a leisurely amount, so we're going to do 2. So this is going to be the first one. And I'm going to be talking about me, and I'm going to be talking about Hilo, which is a good time. We've got 10 Hilo books out now. The 10th one came out. I'm checking one more time. You can hear me okay?
We're working on it.
Okay. I don't hear so good, so I'll periodically check on that.
We're working on it.
Okay, I'm good if you're good. Okay, stragglers, come on in. I'm just getting started. Book number 10, Rise of the Cat, came out in February. Book number 11 will be coming out next February. The Great Space Iguana. And with that, I thought it'd be fun if I tell you guys a story about how it all started. So literally the story of how I came up with Hilo and stuff. So this is, my remote keeps working, this story about how I came up with Hilo and stuff. Yeah. Real quick, I'm going to tell both of my stories, and when I'm done, then I'll open it up for questions. If you raise your hand to ask a question while I'm still telling my stories, I'm not going to call on you because I'm still telling my stories. Cool? Cool. Okay. So this story begins with me. Let's see if my remote's working. When I was a kid, which was a long, long time ago, when dinosaurs still roamed the earth. And when I was little, I was a huge fan of Star Wars. I really dug Looney Tunes. I was a big fan of monster movies, especially King Kong. King Kong was just about my favorite. I loved it. And I like to draw pictures. So for me, when I was little, the most perfect day would be if I could draw pictures while half watching television, preferably a monster movie. It was the best. Now, I liked drawing King Kong more than anything else. It was my favorite thing to do when I was a kid. Now, do we all know the story of King Kong? Show of hands? Not many. I don't know what kind of education you're getting out here, so we're gonna have to work on this. Okay, so real quick. 60 seconds, the story of King Kong. So King Kong's a movie. It's a story about a 100-foot gorilla who lives on this mysterious prehistoric island called Skull Island. One day, a bunch of explorers come to Skull Island. They capture King Kong. They bring him all the way back to New York City, where he escapes, runs amok, climbs the Empire State Building, then gets shot down by airplanes. That's the short version. You should see the movie. It's much better. I love it. Now, I'll tell you this. Like I said, I spent a long time drawing King Kong. But the thing was, I would always do the same King Kong drawing, which was I would draw the Empire State Building, and I would draw every single window in the building. And when I was finally done with the building, then I would draw King Kong at top with the airplanes trying to shoot him down. The thing is, the drawing I really wanted to do was just King Kong at top of the building with the airplanes. This is the drawing I wanted to do. For some reason, I thought I had to draw the entire Empire State Building with every single window in it until I got to the top, then draw King Kong. This is the drawing I wanted to do. For some reason, I thought I had to draw the entire building first. I don't know why, but I did. I did the same drawing for years, over and over and over again. Now, a few years later, I discovered comic strips. Y'all know comic strips? Yes. Okay. We gotta go back again in time when I was a kid, when dinosaurs still roamed the earth. We used to have these things called newspapers, which for the youngins, they're kind of like iPads made out of paper that had current events on it. You might have seen pictures. Most importantly, in these newspapers, you had comic strips every single day. Daily, they were black and white. On Sunday, they were in full, they were colored much, much bigger. And it was the best. It was the best. Back then, most of us had subscriptions to newspapers, so every day a newspaper would come to our house. And for me, as a kid, this was the best, because this meant every single day, comic strips, cartoons were coming to our doorstep. And I just loved it. I loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved how funny they were, but I also loved how they looked. Because like I said, I was a kid who liked to draw a lot, and I sort of discovered that I draw kind of cartoony, like a comic strip. Let me explain, okay? So, this is a picture of a cat, right? This is Garfield, right? They don't really look alike. The thing is, I discovered early on that I could draw Garfield, but I couldn't draw a realistic looking cat. I'm a cartoony cartoonist, and I like that. I like drawing goofy drawings. So that's what I started doing. I started drawing lots and lots of goofy drawings. And my mom and dad were my first audience. I would do a funny comic strip or a funny cartoon, and I would give it to them, and if I made them laugh, that was the best thing in the whole world. They were my first audience, and I just loved it. And it was right around then that I decided, you know what? I think I want to do a comic strip. That's the kind of cartoonist I wanted to be. I was about 8 years old, and I had my whole life planned out. This is what I wanted to do. I was very excited to do. Also around this time, I discovered superhero comics. Y'all read superhero comics? Yeah! I read tons of superhero comics when I was a kid. I was a huge fan of the X-Men. I was a big fan of Fantastic Four. And I really loved Batman, because I love Batman. And I loved everything about superhero comics. I liked the action. I liked the fact that it had heroes and villains. You knew who the good folks were, you knew who the bad folks were. I also liked how they were kind of serious. With comic strips were like always like, you know, a 3-panel setup, then a joke, and they're always very, very funny. With comic books, they got a little more serious, and I kind of liked how dramatic it was. It was kind of fun. But I think maybe the coolest thing is that this is what they look like. When I was a kid, we did not have special effects like we have now. What you see on TV and what you see in movies, they can do practically anything now, anything. Back then, nothing. If you wanted to see something cool like this, you had to open up a comic book, and I loved it. But I couldn't really, one more, there we go. But I couldn't really draw like that. I still can't draw like this. I mean, it's amazing, it's incredible. It just cracks me up. But I love it. Now, jump ahead. Whoop. A couple years later, small Judd grows up, he becomes big Judd, and I'm very, very lucky. I've had the opportunity to tell storytelling, do storytelling in all kinds of different ways. All kinds of different ways. I did a comic strip for a number of years. I ran in newspapers called Frumpy the Clown. I did an animated series for Cartoon Network called Life and Times of Jennifer Lee. That was around for a couple of seasons. And I got to write superhero comics for about 12 years. I wrote this X-Men comic for a while. I got to write Green Arrow and Green Lantern. I even got to write this guy you might have heard of called Batman. So I've been very, very lucky. I've had an opportunity to do lots and lots of stuff. Now, I tell you this. About 12 years ago, my son, that's my son, when he was 7, he came to me one day and he said, "Dad," I said, "Yeah." He said, "Dad, can I read some of your superhero comics? Like, can I please read some of your Batman comics?" And I had to tell him, "Oh, no, you may not read my Batman comics." Because, well, you're just 7, Batman's kind of intense. So instead, I gave him a different series I thought would be more appropriate since he was 7 years old. I gave him this series called Bone. Do y'all know Bone? If you know Bone, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know Bone, you should check it out. It's amazing. And I gave my son all 9 graphic novels, and he loved it. Loved it. Now, I'm super lucky. I know Jeff Smith, the cartoonist who does Bone. And when my son went crazy go nuts for bananas for Bone, I called up Jeff and said, "Jeff, my son just went crazy go nuts for bananas for Bone." And Jeff, being Jeff, meaning awesome, he said, "You know what? That's great. Tell you what, I'm going to mail you guys something." And sure enough, about 2 weeks later, we got a gigantic box full of Bone merchandise. We got Bone t-shirts. We got Bone hats. We got Bone calendars. We got Bone posters. We got Bone action figures. And my son became a Bone super fan. He loved Bone. And me, I got kind of jealous. Because I'm a cartoonist, and I figured I should come up with a story that he likes as much as Bone. So I sat down at the drawing board, like literally, and tried to figure out what that would be. Now, like I said, I draw kind of goofy, like a comic strip, like Peanuts and Calvin and Hobbes. And I like that stuff that's got lots of jokes in it, you know, like a comic strip. But my son kind of also wanted a superhero story. I've written those too, you know, so there's heroes and villains, lots of action. So I took those two ideas, something that looks like a comic strip and has lots of jokes, and a superhero story with lots of action and like an ongoing story. And I took those two ideas, I put them in a blender, not an actual blender, but just in my head, mixed it all up, and out came Hilo. And Hilo is like very much a combination of those. It is very actiony, like a superhero comic, but it is drawn super goofy and has lots of jokes, like in a comic strip. But it's got heroes and villains, and it's also a little bit dramatic, it's a little bit scary here and there, it's a little bit tense, you know, for our characters. And it all came together. And my son dug it, which was cool. And here we are 10 years later, and folks are still digging it. So that's really, really cool. Now, thing is, when the book first came out, I actually started thinking about that King Kong drawing I told you about. The one that, you know, I draw the entire building, all the windows in it, and I draw King Kong on top. I sort of feel like that all the stuff I did before Hilo, comic strips and animation and superhero comics, that was a little bit like doing the Empire State Building before I got to King Kong. Because what I really want to do is just draw King Kong at the top of the building. And the thing is, you know, now I figured it out. The King Kong at the top of the building for me, that turns out to be Hilo. Hilo's my King Kong at the top of the building. This is what I've always wanted to do. You know, forget all that other jazz. All that other jazz kind of just led to where I am right now. And I am extremely, extremely lucky that I don't have to do the building anymore. This is the story I found, and I love doing it. I mean, I love doing it. When I was a kid, like I told you, my favorite thing to do was, you know, draw pictures while I half-watch television. Now I'm 54, and I draw pictures while I half-watch television. That's my job. But it's not just cool because I get to watch TV while I work sometimes. It's cool because I found this cool story that I really, really love. It's been, we're coming up on a decade, and I still get to do it. And it makes me incredibly grateful, incredibly grateful. Okay, so that is story number one. I'm going to pay it. I'm not leaving. I'm going back to switch to story number two. I never get to do this. I'm walking back here, but it's not audience participation, I promise. So you won't be required to do anything. So, just hang in there for 1 second.
With yellow lettering because we wanted to inspire Hilo. Looks kind of like Hilo shirts. So that's why everybody's wearing these red shirts today, because we're so excited that Judd is here.
Okay, I'm back. So, story number two. Now, like I said, okay, yes, the next Hilo book comes out next February. And what's big fun for me is I get to go on a book tour, which is very much like what I'm doing today. I will go around to schools, just like this, it looks familiar. And I do this presentation, as you see. And what I'll always do is I will tell a story, and then when I'm done with the story, just as we're going to do this, I open it up to questions. And what I have found over the last 10 years is that kiddos ask really, really good questions. And when I'm doing the Q&A at the end, I often have to blast right through them and like answer them real quick. So I basically have picked the best questions over the last 10 years that I wanted to talk about a lot and put it together in one place. So we are going to do 16 questions for Judd and Hilo and stuff. So this is the greatest history questions that kids can ask, okay? And some of these we're going to go really, really fast. Some of these we're going to explain a lot. It's a lot of fun. And when I'm done with all these questions, I'm going to open up 2 more questions from you all. Cool? Cool. Okay. So question number 1 for me. How long have you been drawing? As I talked earlier, I'm going to go all the way back when I was a kid, when dinosaurs still roamed the earth. So I have been drawing since ever I could hold a pencil. Whoops. Slow down. So I don't know, like 3 or 4. I have been drawing as long as I can possibly remember. Next one. Do you have any pets? Yes. During the pandemic, we got some cats. Just chill. I'm going to show you pictures. So you're standing in front of the monitor. Dude, step back. You're standing in front of my iPad. It's not working. There we go. Good at cats. I know. I didn't warn you. So, that's Troy, and that's Abed. That's what they look like when they were kittens. This is what they look like now. I work at home. I have a studio at home. I've always worked at home, even before the pandemic. And now these furry fellows keep me company all day long. Sometimes they even lay down on my drawing table while I'm drawing, and they're the best. So again, that's Troy, that's Abed, you get it if you get it. Next question. How many books have you done? I don't know, like a lot. So as I said, I've done 10 Hilo books. But also, as we talked about, I wrote superhero comics for about 12 years. And when you write superhero comics, those are the monthly comics, they collect them into collections. And they've collected most of the comics that I've written. So I'm not lying when I tell you I'm not really sure how many collections they've been. They've been a lot. They've been a lot. But the only other book that I've done, beginning, middle, and end, was this book. So back in 2000, I did this book called Pedro and Me. So a little bit of history. Some of you know, some of you don't. Some of you are about to be reminded. Some of you are like, oh, hey, I didn't know that. So 30 years ago, I was a cast member on MTV's The Real World.
Yay!
There we go. So, kiddos, some of you might know. You know what reality TV is? Reality TV is television shows which no actors, no one writes it. You just have real people doing their thing and they're filming it. So this is a show called The Real World, where they take 7 strangers from around the country, they put them up in a house for 6 months and they film them. It's not a game show, we're not required to do anything, we just live their lives, it's like a documentary. My roommate and our housemate on the show is this young man named Pedro Zamora. Pedro's from Miami. Pedro was also he was a 22-year-old AIDS educator and gay activist, and this is in 1994. And that was the first time a lot of people actually had seen someone who was living with AIDS ever. And it was really, I don't want to overstate, I can't possibly overstate actually, how important it was 30 years ago for people to see Pedro. Unfortunately, a couple of months after the show finished filming, we finished filming in June of '94, and in November '94, Pedro passed away. And a couple of years later, I decided to do this book about him. I wanted his story to stay out there somehow, and this is the only way I can tell stories, so I did a big old cartoon book about Pedro. It took me a couple of years to do it, but it was the first time I did it. And as I told you earlier, when I grew up, all I ever wanted to do was a comic strip. And after I did this book about Pedro, that's when I decided, you know what? I think I want to tell bigger stories. I think I want to tell stories that are just like kind of ongoing stories. And it was all because of him. I would not be doing Hilo if I hadn't told Pedro's story first. So among the many, many things that I owed him, he made me a storyteller. Not only changing my life. So we owe that to Pedro. Thank you. How long does it take me to do a book? It takes me about a year. I know, a year. Seems like a lot, but a lot goes into it. I'm going to explain as quick as I can. So when I do a book, it goes like this. So first off, I don't sit down and just do the book. I think about it a bit. And when I say I think about it, I don't stare into space and think about it. I mean, when I'm about living my life, I'm thinking about it. So if I am in my car, I'm thinking about the next Hilo book. If I am exercising, I'm thinking about the next Hilo book. If I'm in the supermarket buying cereal, I'm thinking about the next Hilo book. So by the time I'm actually sitting there and doing it, I've worked out a lot of it in my head already. So once I've thought about it a bunch, then I start actually putting the real work in. And the real work is, I start writing longhand with a yellow legal pad. I do an outline where I just write out scenes, like scenes from a movie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just write out all the scenes. And I just keep it really, really simple. Like it could be Hilo, and Gina, and DJ, they're being chased by a big monster. Boom, that's scene number 1. On to the next scene. And then I come up with about 12, sometimes 20, sometimes more, sometimes less, scenes. Little scenes, just like that. And that is my outline to work off of. And then the real work begins, because then I've got to start writing. I don't know if you've ever met any other authors, and I don't know if any other authors told you how much they love writing. I think they're lying. The writing part is the most challenging part. It's not hard, it's challenging. I'm not working in construction. I get to make things up. But it's a bit challenging. It's the part that you really got to dig in. I look at these scenes and I got to flesh them out. I got to add dialogue. I got to make sure they're interesting and fun. And then I take all the scenes and like flesh them all out and make them interesting. That's the hard part. It's got to get written. Then a little bit of the fun begins, because then I get to start drawing. I draw my books on an iPad Pro with an Apple Pencil, and I use this app called Comic Draw. This is not an endorsement for Comic Draw. I have no affiliation with Comic Draw. They give me no money. Just want to be clear about this. I just use it. I like it a lot. And I actually don't think the app is made for professionals. I think it's actually made for kids. If you're a student, it's free. It's free for the iPad. And it is crazy, super easy to use. Let me see if I can get this working. There we go. So they give you a comic page like this, and then you just click and drag, and it instantly makes panels for you. No rulers, no pencils, no measuring, none of that jazz. Then I get to take the script I wrote, and I just cut and paste it into the app. And then you just assign dialogue by putting a name and a colon after it, and it makes word balloons. You then take those word balloons, and you just click and drag it and drop it into the panel. So easy. How easy is that? And once it's in the panels, then you can manipulate it, you can change the font, you can edit it, you can change the size of the word balloons. It goes really, really quickly. It saves me lots and lots of time. Then, when I'm done laying out the pages with panels, then I get to have some fun because I get to start drawing a little bit. I start laying in the pencils. Very simple. This is my sloppy copy. No one's going to see this but me. No one has to understand what it looks like but me. So as you can see, that's what the Hilo is, DJ. They're not totally recognizable, but no one, again, has to know what this is but me. And I lay it out just good and messy so I can see what it is. And when I dig it, when it feels like it's good, in good shape, then I go back and I clean it up. When I clean it up, it looks like that. So now it starts looking more like Hilo pencil. So I clean it all up, I make it fun and fancy, and when I feel like I've got a good copy, it goes from being my sloppy copy to my first draft, just by cleaning it up. And I send it off to my editor, Shayna. Shayna gives me notes. I go over the notes. It's like sending it to a teacher who gives you a grade. Shayna gives me suggestions on how to make it better. I make it better. Then I send it back to her. We do about 2-3 rounds. And then I'm done with that. Then it's penciled, then it's locked. Then for me, the real fun begins because then I get to ink it. Inking sounds like just what it is. It's me drawing over my pencils in ink. And for me, this is the best time because it is occupying a space in my brain, which I'm just like a kid. I'm just drawing. So I will listen to audiobooks, I will listen to music, I will half watch television, I will talk to friends on the phone, all while just drawing and drawing and drawing. And I get to do this for like 3 or 4 months, and this is like the best part of doing my book. This is when I'm at my happiest place. My family even knows, like, are you inking yet? Because I know my level of happiness has gone from like low-level cranky to like, he seems this happy every day. Why? Because I just spend 5 hours just drawing, and it's the best. It's the best. So when I'm done inking, then the book is in black and white. Then it has to be in color. This is the only thing I don't do. I know how to color, but I'm a little bit slow, and I'm not as good as I'd like to be. So I've always gotten friends to color it. That's an actual job. Colorist. There's people whose whole job is to color in graphic novels and comic strips. And it's great. My friend, Marta Liejo, there, next one, there you go. There's Marta. So Marta Liejo is my colorist and my friend. She also colors Wings of Fire and Lumberjanes and about 8 other books. And she is amazing. Let me show you how amazing. So when I say color, it isn't that she just drops in flat color like in a coloring book. She is basically painting digitally. She does it in Adobe Photoshop. And as you can see, she does a lot. She adds not just color, but she adds a light source. She adds contour, which is shape. She adds depth to it. She adds special effects. She really, really makes it come to life. I mean, you're going to see one part in here where she's coloring in Gina and Polly's are shooting these energy beams. So it goes from being like 2 flat, you know, these pink circles and this white circle. She adds a special effect to it where it's like, oh, look at that. Whoa, look at that stuff there. Like, that's like 1,000% better right there, right? So when you pop open a Hilo book and you see how cool it looks, a lot of the reason it looks so cool is because Marta makes it really, really come to life. She is amazing. She's really, really amazing. And that is why it takes a year to do the Hilo book, because a lot goes into it. So when you're reading the books, read them slow. It took a year. I'm kidding. Read them as fast as you possibly want. Then just read them again. It's okay. Next question. Can we see another picture of your cats?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, you can. This is Troy. That's Abed. And that's Abed sitting on the butt. I know, cracks me up too. Have you ever drawn a French bulldog? Yes. Yes, I have. Do you have any pictures of videos of you holding small pigs? It's a very odd question, but remarkably, yes. Yes, I do. And I have video. So, oh, we have audio. I'll let it finish the long explain. So, last year, my family and I went to Japan. We were there for 2 weeks, and it was amazing. I highly recommend going to Japan if you can. So many things to see. One of these things they have these animal cafes, where you can go in, you pay them like $8, and they give you a cup of tea and like, a pastry, and then you get to hang out with animals. There are cat cafes, and cats walking all over the place. There are dog cafes, and there are mini pig cafes. Now these are mini pigs. They're not babies. They're fully grown pigs, which are really, really tiny. So we went to the mini pig cafe, and it was cool. We went there, paid our $8, and gave us a cup of tea, and there are rules. You have to sit on the floor. They give you a big old pillow to put in your lap, and then after that, the pigs are in charge. You cannot pick up the pigs. You have to wait for the pigs to come to you to sit there on the floor. So it's me, my wife, my daughter, my son. We're all sitting there on the floor with pillows in our laps, and watching the pigs wander around. And suddenly, one of the mini pigs comes and crawls up onto my pillow, and then immediately 2 more crawl up and get there, and then another one comes over, and there's 4 mini pigs on me, and I'm like the pig whisperer. And I was so excited. I mean, it should show. It's been a year and a half. I still talk about it. It made me so happy. My family, nothing. Me, I got 4 pigs there. I mean, a little bit later, a very large non-mini pig crawled up and got on my son's pillow. He didn't like it. We thought it was hysterical. It was huge. But it was a good time, and I like the mini pigs. So, if you're in Japan, go check out the sites. There are amazing things to see all over. Maybe go to an animal cafe. Maybe go to the mini pig cafe. You too can be a pig whisperer. It's a good time. Next question. Why does Hilo like mango so much? Okay, so if you read Hilo, you will know that Hilo is crazy go nuts about mango. He is. And the reason for that is because when I eat mango, I break out in a terrible rash. Let me explain. So, many moons ago, I moved to California. I grew up on the East Coast, and I had never had mango. But then when I moved to California, I first started eating mango. And man, I loved it. And I had about 5 happy years of eating mango, and until one day I was eating mango and I broke out in this terrible rash. And I realized I am allergic to mango. So it's not that big a deal. I don't eat mango in restaurants. Do you have any allergies? Yes, I'm allergic to mango, and they don't give me mango. It only becomes an issue a little bit on days like today. I'll go and I'll do a book signing, and I'll meet some kiddos, and sometimes kiddos will bring me a gift. They'll bring me a mango. And they'll put the mango right there on the table, which I can't handle. Because the thing is, it's not, I don't just break out in a rash when I eat mango. There's oil on the skin of the mango, which for me is like poison ivy, so I can't even touch it. So when a kiddo will bring a mango and give it to me, I then gotta call somebody over to come get the mango. And then somebody else has to come over and wipe down the table to make sure there's no mango oil on the table. And usually I'm consoling a small child. He's like, it's not you, it's me. You had no idea. I know, Hilo loves mango. I know he does. So the thing is with Hilo and mango, it's called wish fulfillment. A lot of us storytellers do this. You want a story where someone can fly around and shoot lasers out of their hands. Like, I wish I could do that. I can't do that, so I have a character do that. In this case, I really wish I could eat mango. I can't, so Hilo eats mango. It's my wish fulfillment. But no mango for me. Don't bring them to signings if someone's got to wipe down the table. But I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Next question. Can we do it? Oh, only right now. There we go. How did you learn how to draw? I learned how to draw. Luckily when I was reading comic strips, as we talked about, I fell in love. I fell in love with Garfield, which we brought him out earlier. I love Garfield. Love Garfield. And actually, the first time I saw Garfield wasn't in the newspaper. It was in this book. Second Garfield book, Garfield Gains Weight. My folks got me this book, and I read it over and over again, and I laughed until my blood fell off. I was crazy about Garfield. But as I told you guys, I like to draw. So I spent a lot of time copying Garfield right out of the book and drawing him over and over and over and over again. Shh, come back to me, guys. I know. I'm talking about Garfields and cats and guinea pigs. I know it's exciting. But stay with me, stay with me. But this is how I learned how to draw. I learned how to draw by copying things I've really done. And that's, you might hear from a lot of grown-ups that you shouldn't copy things. That if you want to learn how to do something, make up your own. But I have to tell you something. All of us who draw and create things, we first started doing it by copying people we admire, copying people we inspire. I love Garfield because I copied Garfield. So yeah, I graduated up from comic strips to comic books, and I started copying out of superhero comics. Then later I started copying these comic strips in the county. And that's how I learned, by copying other people's stuff. So, you know, if you really dig, manga and anime, copy manga and anime. If you like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, copy Diary of a Wimpy Kid. That's how we learn. Look at the stuff we love and we emulate it. We copy it. That's how we start. What do you like drawing the best? I think I like drawing small children yelling. I draw this often. It was pointed out to me that it seems like every 5th page there's some kid yelling. I do like it. It too cracks me up. It's probably the thing I like drawing best. Is there anything you don't like drawing? Yes. I don't like drawing horses and bicycles. I just don't. I'm not particularly good at it. Bicycles are complicated. Horses are kind of a nightmare. Their legs go in the wrong direction, especially when they're running. They're hard. So if I'm ever drawing a horse or a bicycle, I just fake it. And I just draw it as goofy as possible, but I don't dig it. And if I'm doing a story and I have to have someone riding on a big animal, I usually just put them on a lizard. I like drawing lizards. Works for me. I can make up any stories I want. Horses and bicycles, I don't like them. How do you come up with your stories? Steal ideas. Yeah, steal ideas. That's how I come up with stories. Let me explain. So this is a bit of a long answer. To do that, though, I'm going to tell you a quick story. Okay. So everyone settle in. Quick story time. Ready? So this is the story of the farm girl. So there's a girl, she's a farm girl. She lives on the farm. She lives with her aunt and uncle. Her mom and dad have passed away, so it's just the 3 of them. The thing is, with our farm girl, she really doesn't like living on the farm. She thinks it's kind of boring, but this is her life, and she's got to live it. Then, one day, her aunt and uncle hire a couple of farmhands. But it turns out they're not farmhands. These fellows are actually spies. And they tell the farm girl that they are here looking for a sorceress, a woman by the name of the Great Yaga. And they heard that she lives in the area. Has she seen her? And our farm girl says, well, I don't know anyone named the Great Yaga, but I know Linda Yaga, who lives 2 towns over. Do you want to meet her? And they do want to meet her. So off they go to Linda Yaga's. And Linda explains that, yes, indeed, farm girl, I used to be a great sorceress named the Great Yaga. But far more important than that, I need her mother. And your mother used to be a great sorceress as well. And if you let me, I can teach you how to become a sorceress as well. If you let me. You have that power inside you. So, it's a pretty cool story so far, the farm girl, right? It's pretty interesting. I can see you got really quiet and start paying attention. Because it is a cool story. It's the story I'm telling you. This is Star Wars. I'm just telling you Star Wars. So, look, so the farm girl, that's just the farm boy, Luke Skywalker. She lives with her aunt and uncle just like Luke lives with his aunt and uncle. And those 2 farm hands who are actually spies, that's just R2-D2 and C-3PO. And the Great Yaga, the sorceress, that's just Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's the same story. I've just changed a lot of big stuff. So that's what I mean. You can take a story that you love and take sort of like the big strokes, the big parts, the big points, and change them and make them your own. So what are the big points of this story? So we've got a young person who longs for a more interesting life, who lives with his aunt and uncle, who meets this great and powerful sorcerer, who explains that he comes from this really powerful magical family. So again, it's a story that we know and we love. And we should. Because the story, it's also Harry Potter. It's the same story. We got the story of a young person who longs for a more interesting life, who lives with his aunt and uncle, who meets a great and powerful sorcerer, who comes from a powerful magical family. They're the same story. So Star Wars, Harry Potter, the farm girl, they're the same story. When I say you can steal ideas, this is what I mean. Kiddos especially. You can take a story that you know and love and you're deeply familiar with, and take those as building blocks and change it and make it your own. We all do it. Everybody who makes stories, this is how we do it. How many more Hilo books are you going to make? I don't know. I really don't. I've got the 11th Hilo book coming out now. I've got a new series coming out in 2026. It's called The Mighty. It's going to be about a 12-year-old girl named Miranda who discovers that she can turn into a big furry monster. So she does what any kid does, which is she doesn't tell her parents and she fights crime. So that one's coming out too. But I'm probably going to be doing a new graphic novel every year for the rest of my life. That's my plan. I make things up to draw this. That's what you're How did you come up with the name Hilo? This is a good question. When I'm working on stories, I don't really name the characters. I wait kind of for them to kind of name themselves or something to happen. And Hilo, I couldn't really figure out what to call him. So I kind of just left it there for a while. Until I was writing this one scene. I was like a month into writing the book, I started naming him. And writing the scene with DJ. DJ's talking about when this guy first came to Earth. It was amazing. You fell out of the sky. It was incredible. You came out of the sky as a ball of fire, and you crashed down in my backyard. It was incredible. And then DJ says, you got kind of poetic about it. You started up way up and high, and then boom, crashed to the ground. You came down low. Very poetic. And that was the scene I wrote. And that was okay. And like I said, when I write, I think about it. It's like an hour later, I'm in my car, and I'm thinking about the scene with DJ talking about it, talking about how, you started up way up and high, and then you came down low. High, low. And I thought, like, yeah, it sounds a little bit too poetic for DJ. It's a little bit too grand, like the high, low, high and low. Oh, what did I say? I said, high, low. Ooh, what if I put the two words together? What if I put the two words together? And that's how I first did it. I felt like high and low. High and low. I like the poetry of it. So, I put the two words together, and, and it just felt right. It was an original word. It felt like a good title for the entire series. It just felt good. So that's how I came up with it. So, quick answer, how did I come up with the name Hilo? DJ told me. The long answer, I just waited around till a good idea came and then finally came. So, some folks ask how do you pronounce it? That's how you pronounce it. Hilo. Hilo. If you weren't a cartoonist, what would you do? People ask me this for years, and I have no usable skills, so I never had a good answer. But then during the pandemic, something came up and it occurred to me what I'd like to do if I wasn't a cartoonist. I would like to be, one last one. Are we finally out of the magic? Here we go. I'd like to be a puppeteer. I've always been a fan of the Muppets and Jim Henson, Sesame Street. I love it. During the pandemic, my son, before he went to college, he takes film classes, and he needed to do a film, but we were all sheltering in place, so he couldn't work with his friends like he usually did. So I said, Dad, can you take one of your puppets? Because I actually have puppets, really good puppets, because I'm weird. And that can be like the actor in my movie. So we started doing a couple of movies because he didn't have anyone else to work with, and I was doing the puppets. And you know what? I really, really liked doing it. I hadn't really played with puppets like this since I was a kid, and I thought it was fun. So if I wasn't a cartoonist in a different reality, on a different planet, I think I really, really would like to be a puppeteer. It is a good time. It's a lot like cartooning. You're taking goofy characters and you're making up a story, and it feels very me. It's something that I like to do it. And it's goofy. It just feels good. So this was a film we made called Daylight and Blue. So that was cool. I'd like to be a puppeteer. Can we see another picture of your cats? No. You can see many pictures of my cats. Last one. Can you get it? I'll be putting it this last one. Here we go. All right, there are many pictures of my cats. There's that. So thank you. Okay. as promised, now that I'm done talking for 45 minutes, we have got a few minutes for questions. If you have any, hands down first, rules for questions. There's rules for everything. Please raise your hand. And when I call on you, please tell me your name, because I'd like to know who I'm talking to. And when you ask your question, please ask in a good, loud voice. I don't hear so well. I have a hearing loss. We also have a microphone, so that'll make it easy. Gentleman's going to do the Oprah, reference for the old people. But good and loud so I can hear you. So again, raise your hand, tell me your name, good and loud. A number of you have read all the Hilo books. If you are asking me a question that is a spoiler, I might cut you off, because not everyone has read all of them. So, but what I will ask you to do is like, it's a spoiler question. When I'm done, please come up to the stage. When I'm done, I will answer any spoiler questions in a hushed tone. I absolutely want to make sure that my most avid readers who might ask spoiler questions get my attention, and you will. Okay? So, I'll raise your hand. Tell me your name, good and loud, watch the spoiler questions. Okay, so who's got a question? Nobody? I explained all the rules. Here we go. Gentlemen, right in front here.
And, will there be a Hilo movie?
Will there be a Hilo movie? Big fat maybe. I'm working with an animation company called Sinking Ship. They're out of Canada. They actually just did the SpongeBob movie that's coming out soon. We are talking to you both about maybe doing an animated series, maybe doing a movie. So, maybe. I will tell you this, if we decide to start doing the movie tomorrow, it'll take 4 years. So, be patient. So, big fat maybe. Any other questions? Yes, you there in the back.
My name is Ditya, and how many books do you make each year?
I make 1 book a year. That said, I was able to sneak an extra book in. So in 2025, next year, there'll be Hilo book 11. In 2026, we're going to get 2 books. We're going to get The Mighty, which will be coming out in the usual Hilo slot in February. And then, in the winter, we're going to get a book that's completely out of a Hilo series. It's the Hilo Holiday Special. We're doing a holiday book, which, if I can pronounce it correctly, we're calling it the Hilo Day Special. So it's a regular old Hilo adventure, but it's, it's around December holidays, snow, presents, monsters, and great.
Do you have any other books each year other than Hilo?
No, just Hilo. That's all I can possibly do. That's all I have time for. It's a lot. As I told you, it takes a year to do 1 book, and it's a lot of work. And truth, I actually work really fast compared to other people.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, you right here.
Hi, my name is Gia, and my question is, how old were you when you published your first book?
Oh, let's see. Where do we begin? I got my comic strip syndicated when I was about 26. But my first, the first time I was published, I was 13. I was doing a comic strip just for myself. It was called Nuts and Bolts. I was doing this 1-panel comic strip just for me, just for fun. And my dad being my dad, meaning awesome. He took my comic strip and went to my local newspaper. It was called Long Islander. I grew up in New York, on Long Island, it was called Long Islander. And he went there, my dad being my dad, said, "Hey, how are you? My son does this comic strip. I think it's great, and I think you guys should publish it." And the funny thing was, the editor of the paper read it and said, "You know what? I think we will." So when I was 13, I started publishing my comic strip in the local newspaper once a week. They paid me $5 a week, and I was so excited. Every week, the newspaper would come in. Every week, I'd open the page, and there was my comic strip. So the very first time I did it was when I was 13. All because of my dad. So there.
And do you have any advice for someone who wants to make books?
Oh, do I have any advice for someone who wants to make books? So much advice. I'll try and keep it brief. 1, if you want to make books, go make books. Don't wait around. Go make a story. If it's just a prose story, go start writing it. If you want to do a comic book, go start making it. What I will say, that when you're just starting out, make smaller stories. If you're doing like a comic book, make a 5 or 10 page story. Don't try to do a 200-page graphic novel. You'll run out of steam. It'll be too hard. If you're writing prose, do a little short story. Try to get a beginning, middle, and end. Shakespeare makes second pieces of words. If you're doing a story, come up, well, everyone gets a big idea. And you're so excited. I got this crazy great idea. It's about a French bulldog who speaks Spanish, who meets a plant, and they find a time machine. I can't wait to write this story. And you're all excited. You start writing the story about the plant and the time machine and the French bulldog. And they go back in time, and you meet a dinosaur who owns a taco truck. And then, I'm going to go look at videos on TikTok. Because you kind of ran out of steam a little bit. So my advice is, once you get the big idea, work incredibly hard and think of an ending. Know where your story's going to end, because that way you're going to finish it. Even if it's not so great, you're going to have a finished story. And when it's done, even if you don't like it right away, set it aside and you can fix it later. So you got a big idea, think of an ending. Definitely make them small. That's my short answer. Do you like making stories?
Yeah.
Cool. It's a lot of fun.
And how do you feel about your books?
How do I feel about my books? I really like them. Well, I'll be honest with you. I am my first audience. I'm not. I don't come up with stuff and I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I don't like that. But you know, other people will. No. When I write a joke, I make a joke because I think it's funny. I do a drawing and someone's doing something crazy because I think it looks cool. I do things that I like. And also, with that, sometimes it's hard when you make things showing other people. Sometimes people make stuff and they don't want to show anybody because they're afraid what they might say. You gotta get over it. If you're gonna make stories, they're supposed to be read. You're making them so other people. That's what we're doing. Telling stories. So as hard as it might seem sometimes, like, okay, I wrote this. I think parts of it are good. Parts of it might not be so good. What do you think? You got to give it to other people. And some of your friends, family, who you give it to, might have comments. You might say, I like this part. Don't understand that part at all. You got to be able to take that in and work with it. But you got to love it a bit to do it. And I love what I do. I do love my stories.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, this young gentleman in front here.
Do you still have the drawing?
Gang. Can you be a little bit quiet? Just make the mic over here.
My name is Mateo, and do you still have the drawing of your King Kong?
So I still have a King Kong drawing. I still have a couple. When my folks moved down to their house about 10 years ago, we went through all the stuff, and there's a couple of very, very bad King Kong drawings. The building, big messy King Kong top, we still have a couple. Any other questions? And also, let me know I'm doing our time. Let's see. Gentleman right here in the red shirt, and you want to be the third row. That's fifth row, and we'll get to the next.
What's your favorite video game franchise?
I don't play video games. I'll tell you what. No. There's not a knock on video games. Okay, for one, I'm incredibly old, and the first video game that I owned at home was Atari, which is a gorgeous thing. It's wood paneling. It's awesome. Your parents know what I'm talking about. For me, what I found, well, for one, when I was a kid, we had video games, and they were okay. And later, they weren't so okay. And I was like, this would be so much better. Instead of like just playing tennis, it's like a little dot going back and forth. Like if a big monster breaks up through the ground and starts attacking people. If people like me grew up and started making video games like that, that's awesome. But as I got older, all my free time went to drawing cartoons. So I played sports, and I had to do my homework and things like that, and all my free time went to like drawing and making stuff up. It's not a knock on video games. I just don't play them. I have friends who make video games. I have incredibly famous friends who love nothing better. I have a name drop. Seth Meyers. Of Late Night Seth Meyers. Seth is crazy go nuts about video games. He actually thought we'd bond over this. He reads comic books too, so we talk about that endlessly. But he loves playing video games. And I found like a lot of people who do all kinds of creative stuff, they love video games because they just get to check out and do something that they just get to play with. Like for him watching like television, like he's thinking about who wrote this and how they're acting and whatnot. But he plays video games, it's a good time. So the long answer to tell you, none.
Second question.
Yes.
Are you allergic to anything else other than mango?
Why? What are you planning? a little bit allergic to garlic. It makes me a little bit congested. Not full on. It's a bit of a drag because garlic's in everything. Garlic's kind of awesome, but that's it. I'm hoping that I actually bypass the garlic at some point. Sometimes you go out of this. So that's it. That's all I know about it.
Okay.
You're not planning to kill me, are you? You can try. It won't work. Mango's just a rash, and I just get a little sniffly with garlic. You can try. Okay. This gentleman right here. Right here, right here, right here. Yep.
Hi, my name is Sebastian. My question is, how old is Hilo?
How old is Hilo? Hilo looks like he's 10 years old. If you read the book, we learned that he's not actually a person. He's a machine. But he looks like he's about 10 years old. He could be a little bit older, it could be a little bit younger. We don't know yet. Yeah, I know. I just don't want to give it away. Spoilers. In the back row, we got, two gentlemen in the back row. One, two. First the red shirt, then the black shirt. Okay, we're running out of time. How many questions now? Yes.
I have 3 questions.
3, make them quick.
My name is Leonardo. My first question. Why does Hilo love mango if you're allergic to it?
Did you just get here?
Yeah.
I talked about it at great length. Wish fulfillment, my friend. I wish I could do mango. So that's why Hilo does.
When's the next book coming out?
You just got here. February of next year.
Next year.
Next one, what do you got?
How good are you at drawing horses?
I am lousy at drawing horses. Okay, your buddy right there, your money.
So my name is Colo.
Danny, I don't hear so great. Go on.
My name is Colo, and I'm wondering, what's your favorite book?
What's my favorite book?
Yeah.
Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim. All the librarians just woke up. It's a great book. I want to talk about it. Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim. Go check it out. Lightning round. You there in the pink. Stand up. Yell out your question. Yes, go on. Give me a question. Yes, you got your hand up. You got a question?
Have you done?
How much what?
My name is Valerie, and how much drawings have you done during your whole life?
I don't even know. I wouldn't even know where to begin. Let's just say a million. I mean, depends, what's a drawing? Define that. Is it just Hilo's hand? Is it Gina's foot? Are we out of time?
A big South Florida, a big South Florida applause for Judd Winick. Thanks for Judd. Thanks to Broward Public Library Foundation. And all of you will get a book. So we are going to start a line here. This way. Nice. Rock. We have plenty.
Single file line.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so before we do the books, I want to say a big thank you to the Friends of the Southwest Library for the books. So we're going to walk in and we're going to ask you who you want to sign to. And don't worry, he's gonna sign until he's done.